Okay, I gotta be honest. This movie is actually not as bad as I remembered. Hey, everybody, welcome to another movie review. And today I will be reviewing Children of the Corn. Yes, um, this came out in 1984 and was directed by Fritz Kirsch, and it's based on the short story by Stephen King. And it stars Linda Hamilton, Peter Horton, John Franklin, and Courtney Gaines. Yes. So okay, Children of the Corn. Okay. Originally, I was originally going to plan on reviewing Carrie from 19 the original Carrie from 1976 because I actually forgot to put that on a certain list of mine. Um, it was my list of movies I hate but everyone else loves. I forgot to put Carrie 1976 on there. And yes, I do actually hate that movie. But I've yeah, I forgot to put it on there. So I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I should review it then. But I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, at least not for free. Not on any of my channels. I used to have it on Blu-ray, but I don't anymore, so I couldn't review it this time. So, so I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll put up a poll. And this of course was movies that I have seen before. So, I'll put up a poll, and Children of the Corn won, obviously. So yeah, Children of the Corn. So as I said in the intro, I'll go and say it. This movie is actually not as bad as I remember it being. Now, I will say though, I always liked this movie. I always thought it was a dumb, cheesy, so bad it's good horror film. And it's still dumb and cheesy, but it's not necessarily a bad movie. It's certainly not a great movie. But it's actually not as like I said, it's actually not as bad as I remember. I I remember this being a so bad it's good movie. Like I remember it being pretty bad, but I still had fun with it. So, which is why I kept the DVD all these years. But now I have to say after rewatching it after a while, it's not terrible. Like it's actually almost good. I have to be honest, almost good. It still has its issues for sure, but I think this movie's okay. So, all right. So, Children of the Corn. So the I guess I'll discuss the plot the best I can without spoiling. So the story is about this young couple. Their names are Bert and Vicky, and they are played by Peter Horton and Linda Hamilton. Yes, the Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor from the Terminator movies. Yes. Um, and they are um maybe like on vacation or something. And they run into this town, this small town that is like completely deserted. They don't see anybody there. But it turns out that there are some people there, but not adults. It's all just kids. And these kids are part of this cult who murdered all the adults in this town. And that's not really a spoiler, that's actually, the plot. So, yeah, that's I guess basically all I can say about the story, the plot without spoiling. Um and yeah. So all right. So this movie, like I said, it's all right. It's okay. It's actually not too bad. Um, I do of course have some issues, but I'll talk about the positives first. So, I mean, the story itself is all right. However, I do have some issues with the story, but overall, I mean, the main idea is great. I do like that idea. Like that's kind of scary, honestly. Like these creepy, murderous kids, you know, who run this town. Yeah, that sounds pretty scary, actually. um, so yeah, the story itself is okay. Cinematography, while not like amazing looking, it's a little bit dated. It's actually all right. Like it looks pretty good for the most part. Um, despite it being a little bit dated, it's still all right. I mean, most 80s movies still, even if they're good, their cinematography might not be the best, but that was because it's the 80s. I mean, and of course, even older. Um, but then again, there are some really good movies some really great looking movies, that are even older than that, like 2001: A Space Odyssey, for example, still looks amazing. But that's beside the point. But yeah, cinematography is okay. Even the editing at times, I think for the most part, it's all right. There's some edits I didn't really care for, but for the most part, the editing was all right. See what else. The score. The score is very good. I really like the score, especially mostly the main theme, with that children's choir. It's pretty creepy, and it definitely works for the movie. Um, and and of course, I gotta talk about the performances, which I say that for last because that's probably the best positive to give it. This movie, surprisingly, for the most part, has good performances. I'll start out with the two leads, Lena Hamilton and Peter Horton. They're both decent. Peter Horton, he's okay, and Linda Hamilton is pretty good. Not as good as she is as Sarah Connor, but she's all right. And Peter Horton's okay. There was a actor I forgot to mention. I didn't mention his name, but there was another there was I think supposed to be the last adult that they murdered. And he was this mechanic. Wasn't really that great. He was honestly probably the worst actor in the movie, to be honest. But the kids, I have to say, are all pretty damn good. Like all the murderous kids, but also these two kids I didn't mention while talking about the story. There are these two younger kids whose names are Job and Sarah, their brother and sister, and they're very good. I thought they were really good. They were funny too. Um, yeah, they were really good. But all the murderous kids were great, and especially the actors who are played by the characters Isaac and Malachi, who are played very good by what's his name, John Franklin, and Courtney Gaines is Malachi. Yeah, Courtney Gaines is Malachi, and John Franklin is Isaac. Now, okay, let me talk about Courtney Gaines as Malachi first. Now, he was for the most part very good. But I will say that his most of his line delivery was a little bit off. But however, like whenever he didn't speak, he was awesome. He had this very intimidating look. He's like really tall and kind of creepy looking, and yeah, he was awesome. Just like the scenes where he just like stared, that was awesome. Again, his line delivery wasn't great, and he didn't really sound very scary, but for the most part, he was awesome. But the show stealer has to go to John Franklin as Isaac. Who Isaac is? He's the kid. He's the main kid who runs things. He's the cult leader, if you will, and Malachi was his right hand man. But Isaac played by John Franklin, is definitely the show stealer, and John Franklin definitely gave the best performance. I mean, while yes, his performance was definitely over the top, it was still amazing. Like it was still very good. And what's crazy is that John Franklin was actually in his 20s while doing this movie. He was not a kid. He was actually an adult. He has one of those conditions, that makes you look and sound younger than you actually are. And he was like pretty short and stuff. I know it fooled me because he looked like he was like at least 14 years old, but no, he was actually I think like 25, something like that. I know it's insane, but he definitely stole the show. He was absolutely amazing. Even back whenever back whenever I didn't think this was a very good movie, I always liked him. I always thought he was great, but he was actually better than I remembered. Like I remember him being kind of definitely over the top, but I thought his performance was kind of like so bad it's good. No, actually his performance is amazing. Like he is definitely an intimidating villain, and John Franklin, just hats off to him. He was amazing. Best performance in the movie without a doubt. However, this does go into a negative I have with it. I wish he was in it more. Unfortunately, he doesn't get as much screen time as, of course, Linda Hamilton and oh, I already forgot his name. Peter, what was it? Peter Horton. Sorry, he doesn't get as much screen time as Peter Horton and Linda Hamilton, which is kind of expected anyway, because he's the villain, and the protagonist. Yeah, they always get more screen time than antagonists. I get that, but I do kind of wish that he had a little bit more screen time. You know, when a villain is really good, I want to see more of that villain. Like if the villain outshines the protagonist, I want to see more. You know, like that was a big complaint that I had with the Nightmare Before Christmas. I really like the villain in that movie. What was his name? Oogie Boogie, I think. And he wasn't in it very much. He was honestly only like in maybe 3 or 4 scenes, but every time he was on screen, he stole the show, and I really liked him a lot. And Isaac does have more screen time than Oogie Boogie. He is in this movie, I guess, a fair amount enough, but I kind of wish we still got to see him a little bit more, um, because he was amazing. And Malachi, for the most part, Corny Gaines, he was pretty good too, for the most part. But yeah, anyways, but yeah, I wish we did get a little bit more Isaac. So that's kind of a sort of a negative, but more of a nitpick than anything. Negative I do have with this movie though is it is a little sloppy in the story. I mean, I said the story, you know, I mean, the main part of the story is good, yes, but however, there are some stuff that are kind of confusing, honestly, especially toward the third act. Like the in the main climax of the film is kind of just weird. Like it kind of just made me say, "What the fuck? Like what the fuck was that?" Like I didn't get it. I really didn't get what happened. Really, like I kind of felt like the movie itself didn't really explain much, and it has something to do with the cult, but I don't really get what the cult was even really about. I know they were like a religious cult, but I don't know. It was just a little weird. And also, there are like a little bit of visual effects in this film that are very dated. They do not hold up at all. They're pretty laugh out loud bad, but it's the 80s. What are you going to do? I mean, even the first Terminator had some pretty funny effects. That's like the only, I wouldn't say bad thing, but the only thing that doesn't hold up about that movie was the effects. Especially whenever Arnold at the end is just the Terminator skeleton and that in that stop motion. Um, that's the only thing that doesn't really hold up about that movie, But other than that, it was a fantastic movie, anyways. But of course, I'm getting a little bit off topic. I'm just using that as an example. But no, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is, the visual effects still doesn't make me hate this movie. So, yeah. But also, I wasn't a fan of the ending though. I gotta say the whole third act wasn't great, honestly, and the ending was honestly pretty stupid. Not gonna lie. The and when I say the ending, I mean the final scene in the movie. It's pretty stupid. If you've seen the movie, maybe you know what I'm talking about. But like, it kind of, I won't say. I'm not gonna say what happens. No spoilers. But it does kind of, it has like this cliche kind of thing that some horror movies and even action movies sometimes do. And I was just like, and I even remember that before whenever I watched the movie, and I always thought that was stupid. And even now I still think that was pretty stupid to end the movie like that. But other than that, it still didn't do much. I mean, it still didn't, take away my enjoyment of this film. But also, again, I honestly thought that this was a decent movie. Like, it wasn't terrible. It was actually pretty decent. I don't know exactly how well it, how well it goes with the original short story, because I never, by Stephen King, because I never read it. But um but no, it's still, I still think that this is a decent movie. And if you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. If you like, especially if you like horror movies, I'm not a big horror movie fan, but I thought that this one was actually all right. Like, I kind of like my last review, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like, yes, it's cheesy and all that, but it still was a decent horror film. Of course, that one was a little bit more of a comedy than this movie. But I actually did have more fun with this movie, with Children of the Corn. I actually really, I like Children of the Corn. I do. I think that this is a decent movie, and I will definitely watch it again. Maybe by next Halloween, maybe. Yeah, I and I will hold on to this DVD. So yeah, I guess um I guess I'm done talking about this movie, so I'm going to give it its rating. So I am going to give Children of the Corn. Let me find the rating real quick. I think I know what it is, but just to make sure. Um, if it load, okay. So I am going to give Children of the Corn a 7 out of 10. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good movie. It's a decent movie. I recommend it. It's actually not that terrible. It's not great, but it's decent. It's a decent horror movie, and yeah, I recommend it. Children of the Corn, 7 out of 10. Yeah. All right, there we go. There is my review for Children of the Corn. So, in the comments, tell me, have you seen Children of the Corn? Have you not? Also, please give me your favorite Stephen King horror adaptation. Um, for horror, I would say maybe The Shining, or maybe even Doctor. I might even like Doctor Sleep a little bit better. Maybe Doctor Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, is also really good. But yeah, but not my favorite Stephen King movie. That would be Stand by Me. So yeah, but what's your favorite Stephen King horror adaptation? Yeah. All right. So okay. So this Thursday, I'm honestly not really sure yet. Um, I'm working on a new discography ranking. I'm working on the Pixies discography ranking. So I'm thinking it will be an album ranking. Where I rank every track on a certain album. It'll probably be I can't even talk. Sorry, it'll probably be that. I just don't know what yet. And then for Monday, which will be on the 31st, on Halloween Day, that will be my top 10, I think, favorite horror movie. So look out for that. And there's a good chance this could be on there, honestly. Um, so yeah, look out for that. My top 10 favorite horror movies. Yeah. Next Monday. So yeah. All right. So please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell. And I'll see you later. All right. Peace.